What is going on, YouTube? Welcome to the channel and/or welcome back to the channel. Either way, hope you're doing super amazing. If you are welcoming back to the channel, you can see I'm in a new spot. I'm normally on the couch. I am now in my desk, in my chair. I don't know which one I like better. I think I like this one better because I think it's just probably a better lighting, maybe a bit closer to the camera. There's probably gonna be some glare though on the board, which I apologize for in advance. But let me know which one you like better, the couch and/or this chair. Also, I love this shirt. I think I've said this before in a video, but I just absolutely love this shirt. So if you like the shirt, please drop me a comment below. I'd love to know your take on this salmon shirt here. So without further ado, we're going to talk about the video now, and we're going to be talking about why your weight spiked up. And this causes a lot of anxiety for a lot of people. So I'm going to go in depth on every single thing you need to know about the scale. We're going to talk about gaining fat. We're going to talk about how often should you weigh yourself, because there's so much debate back and forth with this topic. And I'm going to give you 7 reasons why your weight spiked up. And you may be surprised at which one is not going to be on there, right? So without further ado, let's dive right into the video. We're going to start with talking about gaining fat. And I want to make this very, 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 very clear. If you woke up this morning and your weight was higher on the scale than it was yesterday, you did not gain body fat. I'm going to tell you why. In order for you to gain body fat, you need to eat 3,500 calories above your maintenance calories in order to gain one little itty bitty teeny tiny pound of fat. So for example, let's say right now your calorie deficit is 1,500 calories, right? And by the way, if you don't know what a calorie deficit is, or if you don't know how many calories you should eat to lose weight, I'm gonna link a video here above that talks everything about that. Also, that gives you a free calorie calculator on how many calories you need to eat to lose weight. So head there. But basically what a calorie deficit is just you're eating less calories than what your body burns. This is going to allow you to lose body fat. This is the only way to lose body fat. So let's say your calorie deficit number is 1,500 calories. Let's say your maintenance calories, which is how many calories your body needs to maintain its current weight, is 2,000. So your calorie deficit is 1,500, your maintenance is 2,000. You would need to eat, in order to gain 1 pound of fat, you would need to eat 5,500 calories that day in order to gain 1 pound of fat. Let me say that again. You would have to eat 5,500 calories in order for you to gain 1 pound of fat. So if your deficit was 1,500, but you went to, 1,800 or 2,100 or 2,500, you didn't gain a pound of body fat. You didn't gain any pounds of body fat, because it takes 3,500 calories above your maintenance calories to gain a pound of body fat. So please, step off the ledge a bit. There's a big difference between gaining weight on the scale and gaining body fat. Those are two very, very different things, which, by the way, I made a video here on YouTube as well. I'll link it here above. I made a video talking about the difference between weight on the scale and body fat. You can lose weight on the scale and not lose body fat. You can gain weight on the scale and not gain body fat, and so on and so forth. So there's a big difference between gaining weight and gaining body fat, losing weight and losing body fat. So just remember that for you to gain 1 pound of fat, you need to eat 3,500 calories above your maintenance calories, not even your deficit number, above your maintenance calories. All right, so that is number 1. And again, just kind of piggybacking off that topic, which is going to lead into the next point, but your weight is going to fluctuate day to day, and that is normal. And you know what, ladies, by the way, your weight tends to fluctuate a bit more than guys, and I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. Now, that doesn't mean you're not gonna lose weight. It doesn't mean that guys lose fat faster than females. It just means that for females mostly, your weight is going to fluctuate, and that's okay. Now, diving into the next point, which I'm gonna piggyback off of, how often should you weigh yourself? And this is a debate that so many people have, and there's so many different opinions on it. I want to say first and foremost that everybody is different, and I totally understand that. I can understand many different sides of this equation. I'm going to tell you what I believe. I'm going to tell you what my online coaching clients do. I'm going to tell you what my philosophies and thoughts are on the scale and how much you should weigh yourself. All of my online coaching clients weigh themselves every single day, and that probably freaks you out, but I'm going to tell you why. All of my coaching clients weigh themselves because at the end of the day, the scale is just one form of data that you can use to track your progress. Now, we also take measurements every 2 weeks, and we take progress pictures every 4 weeks, and we also track our workouts every single time we do a workout. So we're not only reliant on the scale, which is probably the first mistake you are making, you are only relying on the scale. I'm gonna put a picture here above of one of my online coaching clients, Tisha. For 55 days in a row, between these pictures, she lost no weight, none. The scale did not move whatsoever, but we were taking measurements and we obviously took progress pictures. As you can see, there's a big difference here in her stomach, in the way she looks, in her appearance to her body, but her weight did not change. If we only were going by her weight on the scale, we would have thought nothing was working. We would have thought she probably would have quit because she would have been like, this isn't working, I'm not seeing progress, so on and so forth. But we were taking measurements and we were taking progress pictures. So she knew every 2 weeks and every 4 weeks over the 55-day span where her weight did not move, she was still making progress. And that allowed her to keep going and allowed her to look amazing as she looks right now. So number one, do not use the scale as the only form of progress. If you are, you're going to fail. I'm sorry, but if you're only using the scale as your only form of data, you are going to fail because the scale is by far the least reliable source of data that you can use to track your fat loss progress. Measurements and progress pictures are by far better measurements of your fat loss progress and your fitness than the scale is. So that's number one, do not use the scale as your end all be all. Now, number two, I did say it was one form of tracking data, because it is. It's one form of tracking data. So let me throw this at you. When you're tracking data, the more data you have, the better. So let me put it to you like this. If Apple, for example, is tracking the sales of their iPhone for the month, if they release a new iPhone, they're probably gonna track their sales. They're not gonna pick one random day out of each week to track their sales, because on a Tuesday morning, you might have less sales because it's not the weekend and people aren't shopping and people don't get paid. But on a Friday morning, when people get paid, you might have a huge upspike in sales because people get paid, it's the weekends, their bank account's full, they want to spend money, they've been waiting for 2 weeks. Cool. So on 1 week on a Tuesday, it's low, but 1 week on a Friday, it's high. But what does that tell you? It doesn't really tell you anything because those are two random points you're picking out of the air. It's the same thing with weighing yourself. If you only weigh yourself once a week, and again, we're going to talk about why the scale is going to fluctuate, but if you only weigh yourself once a week, the scale is going to fluctuate. So you're not going to be able to get enough accurate data and get enough ample amount of data in order to make an accurate assessment of what's going on. Because 4 days out of the month is not going to give you an accurate depiction of what's going on. Because, for example, let's say on 1 week, you started the week at 200 pounds. Let's say on Monday, 200 pounds, Tuesday, 198.2, Wednesday, 199.6, Thursday, 198.4, Friday, 198.5, Saturday, 197.8, Sunday, 198.2, but then you weigh yourself on Monday morning and Sunday night you had a meal that was higher in sodium, so your weight spiked up. So on that Monday morning, you weighed 201. If you weren't tracking your data every single day, you would not have seen, wow, the entire week your weight went from 200 to 199 to 198 and it was trending downwards. You only would have saw Monday morning was 200, Monday morning was 201. You would have freaked the fuck out and you would have quit because you would have thought it wasn't working. That's because you don't have the accurate data to know what's going on. So my clients weigh themselves every single day just to get accurate data. Again, when talking about Apple with their new iPhone sales, they're gonna track their sales every single day. So at the end of 31 days, they're gonna say, you know, were we trending upward? Were we trending downward? Or were we staying the same? Were we having an increase in sales or a decrease in sales? They only know that if they take the sales for every single day of that month. Same thing here. You take your weight every single day. At the end of 31 days, you look at, is your weight trending up? Is it trending down? Is it trending the same? If on week 1, on the first day, you started at 200 pounds, and by week 4, on the last day, you were 196, that means you're trending downwards. But in between there, and I'm gonna put a picture here above of one of my online coaching clients and what an actual real weight loss journey looks like, because there's so much BS out here on whether it's YouTube or Instagram or the internet or whatever. There's so much BS, people saying, oh my God, I lost 25 pounds in 2 weeks, all this bullshit. Here's what a real weight loss journey looks like. As you can see, there was ups, there was downs, there was ups, there was downs. The spike up and stalled out, and there was so many things going on in between. But if you look at the overall trend, it's trending down, and that is what you're looking for. It does not matter what you weigh on Tuesday compared to Friday, or Friday compared to Monday. It matters what did you weigh on January 1st to February 1st, February 1st to March 1st, March 1st to whatever comes after March. I honestly forgot what comes after March, and I'm probably gonna get killed in the comments. January, February, March, April 1st. That's what matters. It doesn't matter what you weigh on a daily scale. That doesn't matter. Get all the data, notice the trend. And again, let's say you get the trend of data and it's not trending down, it's staying the same. That's okay, because you know what? Now you know, okay, I have to make a change. Or it's trending up, okay, I have to make a change. But get all the data. Look at it from a trend perspective, not from a daily emotional perspective. Because again, going back to this, logically, you know, you did not gain 3 pounds of fat, 2 pounds of fat overnight, especially if you know that you've stuck to your diet. One of the biggest things I tell my online coaching clients is, listen, you hit your calories, you hit your protein, you know you did everything right, right? And they're like, oh yeah, I'm doing everything right. I'm like, so what's the big deal? Well, the scale went up. You know the scale's gonna fluctuate. Well, yeah, but okay, calm down. You know that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and over a period of time, you will get to where you wanna be. It's just that little patience aspect. Gotta put your patient pants on, chill out for a little bit, and let yourself get to the point where you're gonna, continue to see progress. Because what happens is most people, if you go back and look at this picture here, what happens with most people is they get to a point where their weight spikes up and they quit. They don't allow it to go back down and keep going down and keep going down like my client did here. They don't allow it to do that. They would quit when it spikes up or quit when it stalls out. As long as you don't quit, you will be fine, I promise. So that is covering the main 2 things about the scale right here. It's almost impossible to gain a pound of fat overnight. And I believe you should be weighing yourself every single day because again, that can save you some heartache and some frustration. And again, just not knowing what's going on. I either tell my clients we're either weighing every day or we don't weigh at all. Because if you just pick random days out of the month, as you saw there, your weight is gonna fluctuate. So picking random days out of the month or only weighing once a week, I'm not the biggest fan of. Again, I know everybody's different, and I'll end this little section with this. So many people come to me and say, well, Eric, I don't weigh myself, screw the scale, I don't care about the scale because it puts me in a bad mood. Remember, the scale is just a piece of plastic, and it's just a number on a piece of plastic. You're the one that's letting it affect your mood, and you're the one that's letting it affect your entire day. Now, I understand that weight for a lot of people holds a lot of value, right? And it's a very emotional thing sometimes. But remember, let's say you have a bully in school or somebody's bullying your kid in school. What are you gonna do, or what are you gonna tell your son or your daughter to do? You're probably gonna go kick that bully's ass. So this is the same scenario. If you're afraid of something, if you're scared of something, if something challenges you, most oftentimes the right answer is not to run away from it. It's to face it head on. It's to expose yourself to it. It's actually a form of therapy. It's called exposure therapy. You have to expose yourself to what you may be scared of or uncomfortable with in order to overcome it and get better at it. Same thing here. The weight on the scale is just a piece of plastic. You are the one that's letting it dictate your life, and it may be because you're not educated on why the scale is going to go up, and this video is going to help you, but just remember, you're in control of your response. There's going to be an emotional response, fuck, the scale went up, and there's going to be a logical response. I know the scale is going to fluctuate. I know I'm not going to lose weight every single day. I know that if I just keep doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I will see progress. Your goal should be get from the emotional response of fuck, my weight went up, to the logical response of I know it's okay, let me keep doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Your goal should be to get to those 2 points should meet as quickly as humanly possible. For right now, it might take you 3 days, but then it'll take you 2 days, and then 1 day, and then 6 hours, and then 20 minutes, bam, you're good to go. Like, okay, cool, my weight went up, all right, it's annoying, all right, cool, back to it, right? That should be your goal. So that's how I will end this. And now let's talk about 7 reasons why your weight spiked up. The first and probably most common reason that your weight went up is because you had higher carbs the night before. Now, carbs do not make you fat. They are not bad for you. They should not be avoided. Carbs simply just hold water weight. That's it. And water weight, by the way, is not a bad thing. Your muscles and your joints need water weight. Your body is made up of primarily water weight. Water weight is not a bad thing. For every 1 gram of carb, you are going to store 3 to 4 grams of water weight in your body. So let's say, for example, you go out to eat and you have maybe you have a burger and you have some fries or you have some pizza, or you just had higher carbs than normal. Maybe you just had more oatmeal than normal. Maybe you had more rice than normal. You're probably going to wake up the next day and the scale is going to be heavier. Again, you did not gain body fat. You're just storing a bit extra water weight because that's what carbs do. And honestly, you're probably going to go have a kick-ass workout the next day because those extra carbs and that extra water weight is going to help you fuel your workouts to have a kick-ass workout. So first reason, you had some higher carbs. And again, if you would just keep sticking to your plan, keep doing what you're supposed to be doing, you are going to see progress long term. It's all of these things are very, very, very short term. Every single one of these things, every single one of these 7 things we're going to talk about are short term weight gain. Because like I said here, as long as you remain consistent with your diet, you will see progress. So number 1, higher carb. The second most common reason, and it kind of goes hand in hand because normally these things go hand in hand, you had more sodium than you normally do. So let's say, for example, you normally finish your day with 2,500 milligrams of sodium, which is about normal. Let's say you go out to eat, or you have dinner at a friend's house, or you have dinner at your parents' house, or you order out, whatever it is. Normally those meals are going to be a bit higher in sodium. So if you have, let's say, 4,000 milligrams of sodium that day, you are going to temporarily short-term store some more water weight, because that's what sodium does. If you are eating 2,500 and then you eat 4,000 milligrams of sodium, you are temporarily going to store some water weight. Now, like I said, again, it's very short term. In a day or two, your body's going to flush the water weight out and you'll be right back to normal. But again, you can't quit, because if you quit just when it goes up, you won't get back down because you're just going to keep going up because you're going to quit. Don't do that. And also another fun fact really quickly. Let's say you normally have 2,500 milligrams of sodium and you eat 4,000 milligrams. Here's a fun fact. If you would just keep eating 4,000 milligrams of sodium, your body's going to get used to a new set point. So if your set point right now is 2,500, if you were to eat 4,000 milligrams for, let's say, 4 or 5 days in a row, your new set point would be 4,000 milligrams. So your body would then flush out all the water weight, because that's, your body's saying, oh, okay, I went from this, now I'm at this. So this sodium amount is now going to allow me to, maintain my current body weight levels and so on and so forth. So if you just would have kept eating that amount, you would get used to it and your body wouldn't store extra water weight. Now, do you have to do that or do you want to do that? I don't know. It depends on the person. But just so you know, like, all this stuff is so short term and it's not like you fucked everything up. It's not an end all be all. So, number 3, stress. And let me make this very clear. Stress does not stop you from losing weight. What stress does is, number 1, in terms of why your weight went up, the higher your cortisol levels are, which is just basically your stress, the higher your cortisol levels are, normally the higher your water weight is going to be. You're going to retain some water weight. So if you are super stressed out, whether it's from exercise, whether it's from work, whether it's from your kids, whether it's from your spouse, you're probably going to store some extra water weight in the short term just because your cortisol levels are elevated. All right, so that's why your weight's going to go up. Now, I will say this again. If you just keep doing what you're doing, you are going to see progress. You're going to lose weight. So many people think that, well, because I'm stressed, I'm not going to lose weight. It's not the stress that makes you not lose weight. It's what you do after the stress is present. So for example, if when you get really stressed, you go to food, or you skip workouts, or you stay in bed and watch Netflix, that's what's causing you to not lose weight. It's the fact that once you get stressed, your decisions after you get stressed leads you to not see progress. And again, whether it's skipping workouts, whether it's eating more food and not tracking calories, whether it's doing any one of those 3 things, that's what's making you not lose weight, not inherently the stress. Because if you just kept sticking with your diet, kept sticking with your workouts, push through, you would eventually, like we talked about here, see long-term progress. So just kind of keep that in mind. Now, number 4, less sleep. So for example, when your body sleeps, that is when it rests and digests. So that's when it rests, which is going to be drop cortisol, which we just talked about above, and also digest. It's going to digest the food you ate for that day, because when you're up and moving and talking and watching and doing whatever, your body's not worried about necessarily digesting food. It's worrying about keeping you alive and keeping you aware and watching the video and so on and so forth. So when your body sleeps, it digests food and it drops cortisol. If you don't get proper sleep, which from all the scientific literature, proper sleep, adequate sleep is at least 7 hours a night. If you do not get 7 hours of sleep, what is in my eye? Sorry. If you do not get 7 hours of sleep, then your body is not going to kick on that rest and digest as much. And again, your cortisol will be higher. And also, you won't digest your food as much. So literally, you'll just have more food in your stomach than you normally do because your body has not had enough time to digest the food. Which again, let's say you weigh 200 pounds and you drink 16 ounces of water. You step on the scale after that, you weigh 201. You didn't gain a pound of fat, you just have more content in your stomach. You have 16 more ounces of content in your body. Same thing with this. If your body is not able to digest food, you're just gonna have more food content in your stomach, which is gonna make you weigh heavier on the scale the next morning, in conjunction with possibly having a little bit higher cortisol levels. And again, for example, let's say you normally go to bed at 9 p.m. and you wake up at 5 a.m. Well, if you go to bed at 11:30 p.m. but still wake up at 5 p.m., you're gonna weigh heavier on the scale, 9.9 times out of 10. It's just gonna happen. It doesn't mean you gain fat, all right? Now, fifth reason, workouts. And you're probably like, what the hell? Why does workouts cause me to gain weight? That's the exact opposite of what I want to happen. Should I stop working out? Should I only do cardio? Oh my God. Take a second, take a breath. It's all good. I'm gonna explain. So, the thing with workouts is, especially during a strength training workout or a HIIT-based workout as well, we're gonna talk about that here in a second, but in regards to a strength training workout, if you have a really hard, really intense, really heavy strength training workout, and your muscles are sore, like my legs right now are very sore. If your muscles are super sore, you worked super hard, you pushed heavy weight, what happens is, when you do that, your body tears apart your muscle fibers. That's what it does, it literally tears them apart. Your body then has to repair those muscle fibers in order to grow stronger, more defined muscles, which is a good thing, which is what you want because it changes the way you look. But this process, what it does is it's an inflammation process. Like for example, when you sprain your ankle gets really, really swollen up. This is your body's process of repairing that sprained ankle and allowing it to get back to normal. Same thing here. Swelling is going on in your muscles internally. This inflammation is going on internally. Your body's pushing more blood and pushing more nutrients and allowing your body to repair these torn apart muscle fibers, which again is what you want because you want to grow stronger, more defined muscles. But during this process, any inflammation is going to lead to some short-term water weight. So if you had got done a very, very hard workout and you weigh heavier the next day, this is why, because this inflammation process is going on, which again is going to lead to a short-term spike on the scale. But again, in the long term, it's actually good for you because number one, it's going to build the body you want, but also number two, the more you do this, the more lean muscle mass you'll build. The more lean muscle mass you'll build, the higher your metabolism is going to be, which again, long term is going to help your weight loss journey that much more. So a lot of the stuff is thinking long term. So that's kind of a strength training standpoint. From a HIIT cardio standpoint, if you're doing a lot of like HIIT cardio, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but I've done other videos on that, so I won't go too in depth into that. But if you're doing a lot of like HIIT cardio, what can happen is this is going to lead to a lot of stress on your body, a lot of elevated cortisol. So again, if you're doing a ton of HIIT workouts, your heart rate gets super, super, super jacked up. There's gonna be elevated cortisol in your body, which is going to lead to some water weight as well. So again, that's just from a short-term standpoint, once again. So that's workouts. Now the sixth one, sorry ladies, but men don't deal with this, time of the month. You are going, when ladies have their time of the month, and again, I coach probably, I'd say 80% women, you're probably going to be a bit more bloated. You're probably going to have a bit more cravings. Like things are probably going to happen, right? So it is totally normal to feel bloated and to have a little bit of extra water weight on the scale. But the same thing I tell all of my ladies, there's kind of two ways you can go about doing this. Number one, just kind of a fact. If you stay in your calorie deficit, you can still lose body fat during your period. It's not like once your period comes, like all shit goes to hell and you can't lose body fat. You can still lose body fat on your period. It's obviously harder because you have more cravings and less energy and so on and so forth. So that means you may eat more and you may work out less, which again, same thing with stress. It's not the period that makes you, not be able to lose body fat. It's the fact that you have more cravings and you're probably more tired, which is going to lead to less workouts and more calories probably. But if you were to stay in your calorie deficit during that time, you would still lose body fat even if the scale doesn't show it for 5, 7, even 10 days sometimes. Because when you get off of that time and you keep, again, weighing yourself and see, Once you get off that time, your body flushes the water weight out, you step on the scale, you're probably lower than what you were before your period because not only did you flush water weight, but you also lost body fat during that process because you still stuck to your calorie deficit. Now, that's just a fact. In terms of ladies, it just depends on how you want to go about it. For example, some of my clients, we still stick to our calorie deficit because again, even though they're a bit more cravings, even though they're a bit more tired, so on and so forth, they choose themselves. No, I want to stick to this, I want to do this, so on and so forth. And that's great. I leave it up to them. I also have some clients who say, hey Eric, these 3 days, my cravings are through the goddamn roof. Can I please have higher calories? And we say, awesome, let's go to maintenance calories for 3 days. So again, using the example before, if your deficit number is 1,500, I tell them, hey, okay, for these 3 days, let's go to 2,000. It's not a free-for-all. It's not, have tons and tons and tons of chocolate and sugar and everything you want. That's not what this is. I still tell them, hey, eat these calories and still hit your protein, which, by the way, protein is very important, and you can watch that in the video I talked about with my calorie calculator. But I still, give them guidelines, but they have 3 days where they can have higher calories, they can enjoy some different foods, they are a bit hungrier and so on and so forth. So it really just depends on what is right for you. I would either talk to a coach or ask yourself which one you think you would rather do. But just know that during that time of the month, it is normal to gain some extra pounds on the scale. But again, very short term, and as long as you stick to your deficit, stick to your diet, stick to whatever plan you have, long term, you will see progress. And last but not least, and again, this one is very dependent on the person. That's why I kind of put it last. But I've worked with people who are gluten and dairy intolerant, right? So let's say, for example, there's always extremes of this, right? Some people really can't have it or they have bad news bears. And some people say, hey, I'm a bit intolerant, but I still have it from time to time. Let's say you have a day where you have, 3 or 4 pieces of bread. Or let's say you have a day where, you have 2 or 3 or 4 items of dairy when maybe normally you only have one item of dairy per day and you only have 1 item of gluten per day. Let's say you have 2, 3, 4, or 5 of those things in that one day. Not only will you probably have higher carb, higher sodium, which is going to lead to some water weight, but also on top of that, just those foods for that person in particular can cause inflammation in their body, which again, as we learned earlier, some inflammation is going to cause some water weight retention. So that could be possibly why if you're eating some different foods than what you probably normally have throughout the day, that could be why. And if you're having those sensitivities to food, that could possibly be why. But again, very short term. If you just get right back on track and keep doing everything you're doing, it's all very short term. That's how I'm going to end this video. Is just every single one of these 7 things, like I said earlier, it's all short term, short term, short term. Say that 3 times fast. It's not easy. But all this is short term. If you just keep doing what you're doing, you are going to see progress. The issue is so many people quit during this time. I'm going to put a conversation here above of a conversation I had with a very kind individual in my Instagram DMs. And I told him, I was like, you need to not quit. Most people quit when their weight spikes up. So they don't, again, like I showed you earlier with one of my clients, most people don't allow themselves to see that downward trend because when their weight spikes up, they just say, screw it. They think they did something wrong. They think they're a failure. They think they ruined all their progress. Listen, it took you 6 weeks to lose the 5 pounds you've lost. You don't gain 5 pounds of fat in 2 days. It's not how this works. It works both ways. It takes time. So please, just remember, please do not quit. Keep going. Keep doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I promise you, you will see progress, all right? If you have any questions, concerns, drop it below. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to let me know. I put a good amount of time into this, so please feel free to let me know if you enjoyed the video. Feel free to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you like more content like this. And other than that, thank you for watching, and we'll talk soon, okay?